Hello and welcome to the Sweet Spot. We are excited. We're always excited to be in the Sweet Spot.
We are always excited,
It's something
especially
about
when I'm in the Sweet Spot with you.
Right? There's something about being in that place.
Yes.
Right? But today we have a special guest.
Oh my
A
goodness.
special friend with us.
A special, wonderful friend.
Today we have in the house Mr. Steve Renault. We want to welcome you to the Sweet Spot.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Brilliant. Standing between you two guys.
Yeah.
This is great.
Oh man, yeah.
Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, but a habit.
There we go.
And you do make a habit of being
There we
excellent
go.
too, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I was going to do a little brief bio kind of thing, but you know what? I'm going to skip that because I really just want him to be able to tell his story.
Just let it unveil.
Yeah, exactly,
Right.
exactly. And I think that's the way we're going to do it today because,
Fair
like I
enough.
said, your story is pretty impressive, my friend.
Why, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, how do you want to start out, babe?
You tell me.
First of all, Steve, once again, welcome to the Sweet Spot.
Thank you
We're
very
so
much.
excited
Thank
to
you.
have you here in the
Thank
Sweet Spot with
Yes.
us
This is
today.
Yes, all right. So good to see you, babe. Thank you.
Now, we know that you are a PK kid, too.
I am. Yes, I am.
Yes.
Yes.
For those
Yep.
of you who don't know what PK is, it's a pastor's kid.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right, and you also have a book that you've written that we'll get into a little bit later.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So let's start slow, though. Let's
Yes.
start with your upbringing, right?
Yeah, I was lived in small town Ontario.
Small town
Rockville,
Ontario.
20,000 people.
Canadian
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
Canadian born.
Living on the St. Lawrence River.
Gently east of
That's
here.
right.
Yes.
Exactly. And close enough to Montreal, where my family was all from. My
Okay.
parents, my mother,
Okay.
my father. So it's
Hence
we
the
go to-
last name Renault.
Yes, it is.
All right. Now, do you say
Wow.
Renault or do you say
My grandfather used to say it's the bird, Wren with an O.
okay?
Renault.
Renault. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
Excellent.
And the car owners are just they're the poorer part of the family.
Okay. Got
Oh,
it.
that's great.
No, we grew up in a small town, and my father was, I would say, one of the best known people in town. Everyone knew him.
Mm-hmm.
He would be, even though he worked every night, I thought he was at my games every night.
Okay.
He was
love
with me everywhere.
Really?
And
Very
yet,
good.
he had meetings every night, so I'm not sure how it really worked. I'm not sure how my memory is serving me.
They say God is
However-
omniscient. He's God's best friend?
Absolutely. 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 It was like he could be at two places at one time.
I should say omnipresent. Yes, yes.
I was fortunate. My father was a teacher. He was a leader. He was the most amazing man I've ever known.
Wow.
And he gave his life
Right.
for what he believed, and that meant giving to people. And he was. It didn't matter where he was. Everyone knew him, and he did something that you're very good at, which I would like to get better at, which is being able to listen more to people, individuals, and concentrate on what they're saying. And
That's a gift.
therefore you can help.
Right.
And that is a gift.
Yeah.
It is a
That
gift.
is a gift.
Well, I love that you said he had a meeting every night, and he was at your game every night, right? Because many times you hear stories of pastors' kids,
Right.
and it's one of my dad was a great man, but he was never there for me. right? Because he was always doing something else. So you managed to have that feeling that he was there with you all the time,
Right.
yet he was doing all these other things.
Absolutely, and it was the same with the finances. Ministers don't, and certainly didn't make much money.
Right.
Now, my mother was Scottish, very frugal.
Okay, yes.
My father, if he had $3 in his pocket, it would be given away within an hour.
Yeah.
So he was not allowed to walk around with any money. But we would have a knock on the door at least once at supper time from someone wanting help.
Oh, wow.
And, my father never sat through dinner the whole time because he was either on the phone or entering the front door.
Wow.
And that's the way it was. But even though we didn't have much money, I never knew that. I had no idea that we were not poor, but we certainly weren't wealthy.
Yeah.
There was never a time that I thought that we are hard done by. In fact, I thought we were the luckiest family in the city, actually.
Right.
I thought we were probably the wealthiest.
Wow.
Even though
That speaks volumes.
we probably didn't. We didn't.
Right. Well, you probably were, though.
I was
We
about
were
to say,
in a different way.
Absolutely.
So
Much
the
different way.
quote
Yes.
that you like to quote Billy Graham on all the time.
Oh,
is,
yes. When you lose your wealth,
Yes.
you lose nothing. When you
Right.
lose your health, you lose something. But when you lose your character, you lose everything.
So,
Yeah, that
so
Billy
it's
Graham.
that strength of
yeah.
character that was
It
in the
is.
house.
It is. And so I was very, very fortunate with the grounding that I had growing up as far as, a belief in higher power, a belief in God, a belief that it's not all about you and that you're here to do something. You have a purpose. And it's not just about winning the next ball game or the next hockey game or succeeding at school or anything like that. It's how you treat other people and what you do in life.
Wow. Wow.
If you want to show me a truly great person, don't tell me about records or awards, money or power. If you want to show me a truly great person, show me what that person has done for someone else.
That's
right?
exactly
Yeah,
it.
that-
Exactly.
wow.
And there were times when I remember one morning finding out that the night before my father had to go down to one of the local bars to someone who had a gun in the bar, and the police called my father, as they always did. And he went down and talked the man down. And, that's this sort of, he wasn't afraid. He was afraid of nothing. He actually grew up with 6 sisters and an older brother that used to beat him. And so he had a lisp. When he was younger, he didn't when he was older. But he was, at 15, I forget what he said he paid for it, but he got a fake ID and went to war for 5 years.
Wow.
And so he was overseas for 5 years and came back a different
My
man.
goodness.
And I can't imagine what, I've got kids who are that age.
I was about to
And
say.
it's hard to imagine ever seeing that. And
So when you hear of someone getting a fake ID, they're getting a fake ID to go to the club.
to go to the club, that's right.
That's about it.
To go off to war doesn't make sense.
No.
But,
Wow.
but he did, and
at
it changed
15.
his life. And
Extraordinary.
unfortunate, but that's what he did.
Extraordinary. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. This is riveting.
Well, I was fortunate, and I think we're all fortunate in different ways, and I think my father showed me, and my mother showed me to look at the positives, look at what you've got, be thankful for what you have, and use what you've got.
Yeah.
And, so it's
Wow.
a great upbringing.
Do you have one of his something that he talked about all the time, or saying, or something you can share with our audience?
Yeah, there's a few, and one of them was definitely to. You said earlier that God gave you 2 ears and one mouth.
Yes.
I
And
love
that's
that
so you
one.
can listen more,
Yeah.
twice as much
Yeah,
as you
and talk less. Yeah, yeah.
And you know,
Work in progress.
I would say the other thing that hopefully for younger people, especially, you know, my father was a big believer in it. You know, you do have to do some work here, and it's not just a matter of hoping alone. You've got to put in some effort. And he would say, Steve, when you're going in for a test and an exam, you know, take a minute just before, close your eyes, and don't ask for God to give you the answers, because he's not.
Right.
What you can do is put your mind at peace, rest your, you know, believe that, clear your mind, and be free to remember the things that you've studied.
Wow.
And
Love
with
that.
doing that, you
Love
are
that.
able, when you free your mind and hand it over,
Yes.
hand over all the problems and the issues, now your mind is clear to do whatever you want to do, and your mind you will be able to remember. And so just take
love
that
that.
30 seconds before an exam, for all you teenagers, the ones at university,
That's great
just
advice.
5 minutes, let it go, and your mind can be at ease to do what you need to do.
That's
I
amazing.
love
That's
that.
scriptural too,
I
right?
love
Yeah.
Say
that.
faith without works is dead,
That's
right? He's not.
exactly
Yeah, he's
right.
not going. You can't have faith in something you didn't do, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And you'd
so-
like this story,
yes.
going to my uncle's funeral in Montreal, and I was probably 10 years old with my other cousin in the back seat, and my older cousin, who was going into the ministry, was in the front seat. And I don't remember much of the conversation except my father saying, you know, so what's your next step here? And he said, well, I'm waiting for God to tell me, you know, where to go, you know, what to do. And my dad said, just so you know, he's not going to send you an application form. You know, you've got to get out there and do it. Then the doors may open. I get to work. So I do believe there's lots of work to be done while you're
Here,
you know,
oh, very good.
getting the help.
Excellent.
That's
Excellent.
awesome. That's awesome.
Awesome. So then, what path did that take you on then as a young man, as you grew, and kind of talk to us about where that took you and what it looked like?
You know, and I think that grounding and the comfort I had in knowing who I was not fully developed as a teenager. And I would say as a teenager, you know, being a preacher's kid when you're 14, 15, 16, kids tease you,
Of course.
that sort of thing.
Yes.
And, you know, I would, you know, you'd kind of act up or be a little more aggressive trying to prove that you're not.
That's the definition of a PK. Yes,
That's
yes.
basically
yes,
it.
yes.
That's
So-
it. Yeah.
And you grow out of that to a certain degree. But, you know, I did a lot of different, you know, I finished grade 12, but of course in that time it was grade 13.
That's right.
Didn't do quite so well in grade 13. So I'm not sure if I have a high school education or not.
Yes.
I may have it, I may not. I'm not sure for grade 12. I've got my grade 12, that's all I wanted. But, yes, I'm not sure about that. But, you know, and then it was, you know, there's never a push from my father or mother about going to university. It's find your own way. And, you know, you've got the grounding, you've got the basics, so go out and get it. And so I worked at Ponderosa. I was the manager at Ponderosa. I was a-
Ponderosa Steakhouse.
Oh, yeah. All steaks. They're not around anymore. And then we were, you know, then I worked for a limousine company. I worked at International Harvester. Believe it or not, in the computer area of International Harvester, which of course you would think that meant that I did something with computers, but I had no idea what they were.
Right.
And how they work. And 4 years of that, and I worked at Stelco. I worked at all sorts of different jobs over about
Yes.
5-6 years. And but it wasn't until I was laid off from Harvester because I moved to the States.
Okay.
I thought, okay, I guess it's time to do something. And
So how old would you be now?
I would have been 20.
Okay.
20.
Yes.
Yeah, 20 years old, and then I was filling out applications, and I definitely know my social insurance number off by heart still today from going door to door.
Yes.
But one of the bank managers suggested that have I ever thought about the stock market? And I thought, I know nothing about the stock market. I don't even know where it is. And then I realized that my cousin was in the stock market.
Okay.
So I ended up talking to him, and that's how I got going on that side.
Wow.
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 Just-
Wow.
You know, luck.
Yeah. Now, so because people don't know, you were you had a long and prosperous career in finance and still there, right? But kind of talk about that ramp and what it looked like. So don't be afraid to sort of just be honest with us at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I was on the floor of the stock exchange before we went to computers. It was still chalkboards for a couple of days. Yeah, it was hands flailing all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah, they did mean something.
Yes.
They really did. And I was a phone clerk and then a trader, and I was with Dominion Securities, so the largest brokerage firm in Canada. So I was very fortunate to have the training I had. I only know of one other person who probably got the same sort of training from the ground up, and that would be Mike Weckerly.
Okay. Yes.
He and I worked together, and
Okay.
so we were both on the floor and then moved upstairs. And so then I was on the retail desk, moved upstairs to the retail desk, and ended up being the head of the retail desk at Dominion. Then I was in options and futures, and I ran that desk, and then over-the-counter stocks, and then I ran that desk. And then they threw me over on the bond side for 6 months and learned about bonds. And I came back, and I was the liaison between New York, London, and Toronto, doing arbitrage trading. And every 6 months they would send me somewhere else.
Wow.
And then have me run a desk. And I thought, am I ever going to have a steady job?
Yes.
But yet they were giving me the training to move to the institutional equity department, which is trading for facilitating trades as well as recommending trades for the largest pension fund, hedge fund, mutual fund companies in North America.
Wow.
As well as a couple in London. So it was the ability to not only help those clients and work with those clients, but also to use our corporate money, our company money, to facilitate those trades, but to actually make money as well.
Okay, so you may be, if you're listening in now, you may be like me. You may be swimming right now in all of the terms.
Right. Absolutely right.
You mentioned Mike Weckerly, who is one of the most successful guys, very visible guy, and who had a lot of success as well. And so you started from the very beginning. You and him from the very beginning at the ground, and kind of work your way up.
Right.
And what did that ultimately look like? What was when did you get an opportunity to sort of take this personal and do your own thing, and how did that end up?
Well, it was very interesting because Mike Biscotti was the head trader at Dominion Securities, and at the time it was just after the crash of '87. And I was called. I'd been talked to by a few headhunters as far as changing jobs,
Right.
and I always felt an alliance to Dominion Securities. But things were changing there as well, and a few people were retiring. And Mike had said to me, Steve, if you get an opportunity, I'd love you to stay. But if you'd like to go out on your own, don't feel bad, about making a move. You've got the experience now. We've given it to you. Go fly.
Wow.
And so First Boston, which was a very large U.S. firm, was coming to Canada. And another trader and myself went over there to start up First Boston in Canada. And so it was a real learning curve there. But the traders and the salesmen at Dominion Securities supported me 100%. They talked to clients, all of their clients, and said, Steve's going over there. I want you to talk to him. Help him.
Right.
Wow.
And I was very fortunate.
Wow.
And I had clients that were the top clients in Canada, all saying, okay, Steve, we're now going to work with you. And so, again, I was lucky. I mean, these people were helping me out.
There's a saying, you got to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good, right? Yes, yeah.
And this is coming from a young man who graduated or think he graduated grade 13 and didn't know if he actually graduated or not.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And with that came, I worked at Nesbitt as well for a little while, and then I had the opportunity then to join a firm out in Calgary. And I'd always worked downtown Toronto, and the only place I thought I could work is New York or Toronto or London. And this was a small firm that was well-liked but had no trading side of it. And so I bought into that company, and that's with Brett Wilson, again, another one of the Dragon's Den guys. And we really made that company, that took off immediately. And so it was I was very, very fortunate.
And how long were you there?
I was only there 4 years.
4 years.
So that was in '96. And then in 2000, we had done well. We'd been ranked the #1 trading firm in Canada.
Wow.
We were named the #1 trading team in Canada, which I was ahead of. So again, that was very good. And I felt that we had gone so far. It was the top of the tech sector. And I was getting tired. I must admit, I was getting tired. I now had 2 older kids. In high school, I had 3 young kids under the age of 3.
How was balance in that?
Well,
work-life balance there.
Balancing was, fortunately in Calgary, I'd have 6:15 meetings.
Okay.
But the markets closed at 2 o'clock in Calgary.
Right.
So I could be home by 3.
Right.
So I would get my 3, 4, 5 hours at home with the
Okay.
kids every night.
Okay. Excellent.
And most nights.
Right.
And I can't say every night.
Right.
And so it definitely was a balance. And I must admit, it was tougher during the beginning years.
Okay.
Because, they told me Monday to Friday, you're ours.
Right.
The weekends are yours.
Oh, wow.
And that was during the years here in Toronto.
Yeah. So
I had a little bit more flexibility when I went out to Calgary. And so the balance was, we really enjoyed our lifestyle, started to enjoy it more and more because we had more time. Instead of getting home at 6 o'clock, I was getting home at 2:30.
that's all right.
Wow.
Yes.
So I was up early. However,
Right.
it was so that was a very fortunate. That worked out very well for us and helped balance.
Right.
And that would be because the markets would close at
Yes.
4:30
Their time.
Eastern time.
That's right. 4 o'clock Eastern
Yes.
and
Yes.
so 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Calgary,
So you get home by 2:30.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
right.
very good.
So that was a good one. And then in 2000 was when my wife and I spent many, many nights, just like we did before we moved to Calgary,
Okay.
sitting down, talking about where we were, where are we going,
Right.
and that's when we made our decision for me to retire.
To retire. And how old would you be now?
I was about to say.
I was officially, it was the week before I turned 40. So it was.
And you're retiring.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I retired at 40. And,
Good,
Wow.
Good. Now you have a term for this retirement too.
we called it middle retirement, retiring in the middle.
Okay, and what's the philosophy around middle retirement?
The philosophy was that we were healthy, we were lots of energy, and we wanted to enjoy our family while they're young as much as possible.
Right.
So even though I said we had lots of time after 2:30, it wasn't enough. I wanted more time.
Okay.
And I wanted more time to do different things. And I thought, I must admit, I must go back to my father here, because it was really one line from him that made the decision. Even though he was gone,
Right.
it was, Steve, when is enough enough?
Wow.
And I had seen what had happened to many of my colleagues and partners because of money,
Okay.
and how their marriages had not worked out, life not quite the same as what I would like mine to be, and it was a very stressful business, but it was mainly it was seeing that surrounding me with the
Right.
amount of greed that's with money, that's with the industry,
Right.
is natural. It happens, but I wanted something different.
Okay.
So we took our retirement in the middle and figured I'd go back and work at a gas station when I'm 65 years old.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing.
That's excellent. So this term "middle retirement" is very meaningful, and you've written a book, coined the same thing, and I want to
crisis retirement.
Yes. So
Midlife crisis retirement.
yes. So I want just to tease it a little bit, because we're going to make people come back, right? And hear part 2 of our interview with you. Has been extraordinary, but we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you for a little financial discipline, a financial tip of some kind as we close.
Well, basically, the biggest thing to me is every single book, financial book that's written, comes down to 2 major points. One of them is to live within your means. The other one is to save for the future. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the problem that most people have is not with what their asset allocation is, or how much they have in stocks or bonds, or it's behavioral.
That's so
It is
true.
behavioral,
So true.
just like
Yeah.
the rest of life, just like how you treat your family, your friends, your decisions at every level come down to behavior. And behavioral science has become more and more the buzzword in the industry, which it should be. Because long term, the facts are that that you will get better performance, have more peace of mind about your future if you behave properly. And the industry is not set up for us, and our DNA is not set up for us to do it properly. And that's why I'm coaching as opposed to being an advisor.
Okay.
I'm trying
Yes.
to coach, helping people to have the proper behavioral aspects that will allow them to have peace of mind and to perform.
Wow. Very, very good.
And I know I can't talk about coaching. When I'm sitting
Yes,
beside you.
yes. So, but we don't want to miss that, right? So number 1 is to live within your means.
Live within your means.
Those credit cards will kill your future.
Yes.
Yes,
They
yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
And I would
Absolutely.
love everyone who's listening, talk to your kids.
And
They got to be paid off automatically. It's not your money.
That's funny
You were
because I just
lent
had that conversation with our oldest daughter.
Perfect.
She looked at me and she said, Mom, I think I need to get a credit card. And I said, honey, do not touch it unless you are financially able to pay the balance every single month. Other than that, do not get it.
Exactly. Because the bottom line is, what it is it's a loan which you promise to pay in 30 days.
Yeah.
And if you don't live up to your promise,
Yeah.
we're going to make
Oh,
you suffer.
they will.
penalize you
Oh,
We will
yes.
make you suffer.
Absolutely.
And so, again, that comes down to that behavioral, that it's not yours.
Yeah. That's
It's
right.
someone else's.
That's right.
excellent,
And
excellent.
number 2 is save some for the future.
Very good. So
it.
1 and 2. Yeah. So do the 2-step. Two
That's
step.
right,
That's the
exactly.
sweet spot this week is doing the 2-step, right? Yeah. So live within your means, right? And number 2, right?
Save some
for the future.
That's
Yes,
right.
save for the
All
future.
right.
Well,
Exactly.
Steve, thank you so much. This has been amazing, and we are going to have you back for a part 2. So for our listeners, thank you for tuning in, and please join us for the next episode because we have more with Mr. Steve Renault.
It just gets better.
It gets better and better. Until next time, stay in your sweet spot.
Thank you.